Oh yeah, welcome to Fist Deep with your hosts, Jake Young and Terry Shepard. Our guest tonight is Ashley Young. Let's get deep.
Let's get deep. First episode, we are live. This is unprecedented. This is super exciting. We get to bring a high level product to all of you live and in person with, and this is my favorite part, us talking about the SBA.
Dude, it's one of my favorite topics.
Because nobody brings the funny like the SBA.
Are you down with SBA?
Yeah, you know May.
Wow.
My goodness. So the guest tonight is my wife, Ashley.
My wife.
Not your wife, my wife.
Your wife.
And she is going to talk about the SBA, and she is going to talk about PP, and we are going to talk about financial stuff. And it doesn't sound like it's going to be very funny, but we hope at the very least you get something out of it.
Oh no, we're going to bring the funny.
We're going to bring the funny. So I'm Jake, since we're meeting everybody for the first time. This is my man Terry.
Hey, I'm Terry.
I am a stay-at-home dad by choice because my wife is a beast. So I get to stay home with our 1-year-old son. And Terry is a professional comedian.
Yeah, a stay-at-home comedian.
A stay-at-home professional comedian.
Also, I've been, for the past year, pretty much a stay-at-home mortgage banker. So,
which is going to tie into today's conversation as well.
For shizzle.
Because when you want episode number 1 to really take off, like a initial Tesla rocket or SpaceX rocket, meaning that it's going to explode soon after. I don't even know if that's true. I know the SN10 blew up 8 minutes after it landed, and the SN9, whatever. I'm babbling at this point, but
it's going to come in hot.
It is going to come in hot. So we hope you're all ready for it, and I think we should just get to it. I want to bring her in. She's upstairs right now. We're going to let her know that she can start getting ready.
Let's do it.
And let's go ahead and bring her in. This is my lovely wife, the incomparable Ashley Young.
That 8-bit music. I don't know what it is. I just want to move.
And I mean, these are all original compositions here, guys. This is all stuff we did. So, super pumped about the product. Hey, babe.
She's muted.
Yeah, you're muted. Let's get you muted real quick. There you are. What's happening?
Hey, not much. Just chilling. I think I missed my chat intro.
Hi.
Hi.
We were just talking you up and saying how funny and great you're about to be for the next 40 some odd minutes while we stare off into space. So we hope you brought the thunder.
Oh, yeah.
It's all good. I microdosed for this, so.
Hey, we're locked and loaded, so just dig right in.
So let's start talking about it. I'm excited about this. Okay, it's the SBA. We're going to try to be excited about it. But why don't you go ahead, tell us a little bit about what you do. Don't tell us where you work. Just a little bit about what you do so that we know kind of your background, and then you can explain a little SBA 101 and get into 7As and just kind of take it from there.
Yeah, so the SBA, Small Business Administration. I've been working in this industry for 8 years. Basically, I'm in a niche of the industry that helps banks keep their compliance right and together with their SBA portfolios. So the SBA, I did research this, started in 1953.
Okay.
Which is honestly pretty incredible. Because
is there going to be a test on this later?
No, but I did think about it. And I was like, I probably should know when that started, just like as a general course of knowing my job.
Right.
But the thing that's really crazy to me about that is I've been doing SBA for 8 years, and so much has changed in 8 years. It's hard to imagine what the SBA looked like in 1953. So that alone is like, I would love to just see what those files looked like in 53, because
I bet they had a lot fewer papers.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it was just like, hey, you want a loan? Great. See you later. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
I want to sell vacuums. Housewives.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what? That very well could be it. So like, what is the SBA in general? The SBA is the government's creative solution for creating opportunities for banks to give loans to people that traditionally would not qualify for conventional financing through a normal bank like Chase Bank. So the way that they've managed to do this is, you know, a borrower needs to get a loan. They've got a dream of selling vacuums, like Terry did. And, you know, they go to JP Morgan Chase and they say, hey, I'd like to take out a business loan. They say, well, we looked at your credit score. We looked at your cash flow for your business. We don't think we're going to be able to get you this conventional financing.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of borrowers might not know that there are other options. And a lot of those open up through the SBA.
Okay.
So basically the SBA tells the lender, we're going to guarantee a certain percentage of your loan amount as long as you keep your paperwork straight and you do everything that we ask you to. If that borrower stops making loan payments, we're going to pay you that guaranteed percentage amount of your loan.
Right.
So what does that mean? What are the percentage guarantee percentages like? Well, for loans of $150,000 or less, the government guarantees 85% of those.
Oh.
And this is through the standard 7A loan program. The SBA has all kinds of programs, just depending on what your business does. I know right now I'm kind of digging into loans in the export trade finance world, which is uncharted territory for me.
But for the sake of the layperson, the 7A is probably like the go-to.
That's the one.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The 7A program is the bread and butter of the SBA.
Now, if I don't pay my SBA loan back, will they take my kids from me?
they won't. But
because if so, I want to sign up for an SBA loan.
Well, let's roll back just a little bit here before we start auctioning off our families. That does bring up kind of an interesting point. So the SBA, it would seem right now, and I know this, I'm assuming a lot of this, I guess, just because of your work and I see how busy you are and how much you put in. The SBA is like really important right now because the SBA is not only kind of financing the rebuilding of the economy from everything that got smashed during the coronavirus, but also keeping a lot of those businesses afloat that are just trying to wade their way through all of this until things go back to normal. So the SBA is really kind of important right now, and you guys are seeing just incredible volume, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the timeline, you know, March of 2020 was really when COVID just started running rampant. And I know here in Indiana, that's when we were ordered to shelter in place. Right. So the end of March through June, a lot of us were at home working. But there were some businesses that couldn't be open. And, you know, like your restaurants, your bars, things like that. So that's where the SBA created the Paycheck Protection Program. Basically, that program was designed to carry payroll for a lot of these businesses that couldn't be opened and try to preserve jobs. So, you know, for example, when we were working on loans for PPP and first round, right. We would have businesses that, you know, they would apply for a PPP loan and they were pretty, you know, quick turnaround loans, but, you know, I remember it will always stick out in my mind because they sent a letter to our office, you know, explaining what went down. But there's this one office, this guy had, you know, he employed like 30 people. And I think that they had been in business for like 30 years. Oh, wow. And he had been sitting at his desk that morning thinking, how am I going to tell all of these people I'm going to have to let them go? Because we can't be open. I can't pay these people.
Right.
And just as he was about to print out all of these letters to hand to his employees saying, we have to let you go, he gets an email from one of our lenders saying that you've been approved for a Paycheck Protection Program loan.
Wow.
And he was able to throw all of those letters directly into the trash. So it was pretty cool being on the front lines of that whole initiative. And gosh, when you talk about volume, kind of like you said, Jake, I mean, we did probably, I think it was like 17,000 loans.
Right.
And I mean, that doesn't even come close to what some other banks were doing during that time. I mean, gosh, I think one of our newer clients, they did like 100,000 PPP loans in the first round.
Right.
So
Wow.
it's kind of incredible the impact that program has had on small businesses and how it's really managed to keep some of these businesses open.
And it was really screwy rolling out. I mean, there were a lot of hiccups and a lot of, everything was kind of a 4-page document, or it seems like they really tried to whittle the process down to make it as easy as possible for as many people as possible, but maybe open themselves up in a lot of other ways in the process.
But it was all brand new too. I mean, everybody's trying to wade through something we'd never had to deal with before.
Exactly.
So. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's for as many hiccups as the program has had since it started last year. When you really think about it, it's pretty impressive what the SBA was able to just kind of slap together as quickly as they did to start getting relief to some of those small businesses. So,
Sure.
They learned a lot from the first round. And round two, there's been some changes that have made things a little easier for everyone. But yeah, it was crazy. I mean, we were, where I'm at, we were working 80-hour weeks, just processing all these applications and helping our lenders get their stuff together to get money out to these borrowers. And it honestly, it's pretty wild that all of those, should be forgiven, assuming that, the borrower did their part and the lender did their part. So
as long as everything was done in good faith, it's totally forgiven.
Yeah. As long as it was used for what you were supposed to use it for, within, the specified timeframes, and you kept the employees on that you were supposed to keep on. Yeah. The SBA reviews the forgiveness application and, sends.
Let's talk about that for just a second.
Wow.
So, right now is kind of a unique time. I think it's only open for a short, like maybe another week or so. Didn't they have like a 2-week window where they opened up for businesses under 20 people? To where what do you know anything about that?
Yeah, the Biden administration basically put a 2-week hold on. I don't remember the exact parameters, but basically the larger small businesses,
right?
So they wanted to allow some of these smaller, more local businesses to have an opportunity to get their loans through the system and get their money.
Let the minnows eat before the sharks come through.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. So, and it was good that they did that. In the first round, they kind of did the same thing for banks, where they let the smaller banks get in there and try to eat away at some of that money first, right, before the Huntington banks and the Chase banks of the world came in and just swallowed all of it up. So
if you're a small business now, it's a really good time to try to jump in there and take advantage. I don't want to say take advantage of, but to utilize some of these tools at your disposal to keep you afloat.
Yeah. I mean, for the Paycheck Protection Program specifically, I want to say that it's targeted to, the second round is targeted to end like the end of this month. Okay. But the SBA is doing a lot of other really cool things just through the 7A program that they've changed through the CARES Act, where typically with an SBA loan, there's a guarantee fee that the borrower has to pay. Okay. It's a certain percentage of the loan amount. There's some different criteria they use to determine that amount, but right now the SBA has completely waived all of those.
Okay.
Whoa.
For lenders on an ongoing basis, they normally have to pay an ongoing fee of some type to the SBA. The lenders don't have to pay that right now either for these loans. Wow. And then the SBA, this is more going to be a different department, but basically also in the CARES Act, there are a certain number of payments that they will make on your loan right out the gate right now as well too.
So it's
So
like
I know
free money at the beginning.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, free money.
Right, exactly. And a lot of people are taking advantage of that. I was reading an article like a month ago or something that said that there are just all kinds of new businesses starting up right now, taking advantage of this program and the temporary changes to the program anyway. So it's a good time for small business, as weird as it sounds with everything going on with COVID, but going through the SBA programs, there's a lot of good stuff happening and a lot of advantages for both the borrower and the bank. So
okay,
pretty interesting.
Now, are you seeing a lot of new business, like new small business startups or businesses that have been around? Because the SBA has certain protocols that they like for you to meet, or requirements they like for you to meet before they even, or to optimize your chance of getting a loan and for getting it with the best terms, they like for you to meet certain criteria. So, I know that part of it is, 2 years in business, and to be able to show that you have sought financial backing elsewhere. What else is involved in all of this?
Yeah, so basically there are certain things that you have to do if your business has not been in operation for more than 2 years. So
Okay.
2 years or less that you've been open, the SBA is going to require what they call a equity injection or a cash injection from the borrower, which is basically just startup capital that the business puts in free and clear. It can't be borrowed funds or anything like that, but it's 10% of the project costs.
Okay.
So if you've got a $100,000 project, you've got to put in 10% of that out of your own business funds or personal funds, as long as it's not borrowed. Okay. So that's one thing, that is good information for a new business to know about, because there's a little bit of an investment up front if you're still kind of fresh in the game.
Right.
And actually the SBA considers that what they call skin in the game. It's a way of getting the business owners invested. So when they've put their own money into the project, they're a little more invested in, making sure that it's successful.
But more so, then they would also have to loop in maybe their house and some other assets into that as well, right? If it was over a certain threshold.
Would I have to put up my Beanie Baby collection as like a collateral?
Actually,
probably worth
no.
10 grand.
Unless your business owns your Beanie Baby collection,
okay.
they don't really take a lien on personal assets, with the exception of houses, personal real estate. And
so you
really,
keep all your stuff. You just can't have a roof over your head.
Yeah, well, it just all depends. If your business has a fair amount of collateral, a lot of times they don't have to really dip into, a personal residence as far as a collateral securing the loan goes.
Right.
So, it just all depends on just what your business has going for it already. And they just kind of go from there. But yeah, for a startup, less than 2 years, 10% of the project cost is what's going to be required. And then regardless of how long your business has been open, anytime that you want to buy a different business. So you're an insurance agency, you want to buy out another insurance agency's book of business, that's going to need a 10% equity injection as well.
Gotcha. Let's say that I wanted to make a movie and I had a $200,000 budget and I have 20 grand of my own money.
Mm-hmm.
And I start a small business production company. Could I conceivably go to the SBA and have them finance my movie? Have you ever seen that?
Well, so with only like a few weeks on the books as a business. So they would be the actual startup cost, right?
Yeah.
I would need to brush off some cobwebs on that one. I'm not sure if production companies are an eligible business.
Well, send me an application if they are.
Yeah, okay. I will. Yeah, it's generally businesses that you would kind of expect that are ineligible. So like, I don't know,
what's
real
the most
estate
unique business, without saying the name or anything? Is there any things that they're like, oh, I never knew that we would lend on that?
I'll never forget there was one loan that I looked at in the past where someone was selling pies out of the back of their van. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
So they got an
What?
What kind of pie? Was it an escort? Or no, pie. Oh, like cherry pies and all that,
like
homemade
literally cherry pies and stuff. Yeah.
Like a
Wow.
Ford Escort?
Yeah,
Why would they sell pies out of the back of a Ford Escort?
I have no idea.
All right.
Huh.
Yeah.
So was it like? So were they? Did they have like a kitchen a commercial kitchen that they prepared everything in? Because I had a food truck and I couldn't just make pies in my kitchen and then go sell them out of my trunk.
I want to say it was like they just made them at home somehow. And then like maybe they just drove around selling them almost like an ice cream truck. I don't remember exactly. I just remember thinking, man, that's incredible that you can just sell pies out of the back of your
I bet they
van.
were good. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Were they in
Pretty cool.
Indianapolis?
Oh, no, I think it was down in like Florida or something.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
of course.
there's your
that
answer.
explains it. Yeah.
Right.
There's your answer. Florida doesn't have normal people like we do here in Indiana.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we don't have a ton of Indiana
Gator.
loans.
Gator
But-
pie.
Yeah, gator pie. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So
What's that?
are you seeing a lot of new business coming your way then? I mean, with everything kind of being does it seem like more businesses are coming to the SBA for money, not through the PPP, but through the 7A? Are you starting to see
Oh,
an
yeah.
uptick in that?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And a lot of that has to do with lenders just taking advantage of the program and, putting it out there like, hey, you can get an SBA loan, no guarantee fees. The SBA is going to pay X number of payments right off the bat on your
Right.
loan. And people are just like, well, hell yeah, why wouldn't I do that?
why wouldn't I?
I mean,
Right.
that's,
Makes sense.
Right.
yeah.
Because a bank is getting that money at like 0.25% interest from the Fed, and then they have really a whole lot less risk than they would on a typical loan. So why not lend that money?
Oh yeah. I mean, again, that's the other part I hadn't even mentioned. They've also increased the guarantee percentages on a majority of the programs to 90%.
Oh, wow.
What may have traditionally been a $400,000 loan with only a 75% guarantee now has 90. So banks have even less exposure. They don't have to pay their upfront or their ongoing fees anymore. Borrower doesn't have to pay their guarantee fee anymore. And the borrower's getting X number of payments paid up front by the SBA. So it's just like, it's a great time for everyone.
It's a great time until it's not.
And that's keeping in mind that 20% of all businesses fail within the first, or
Until-
50% of businesses fail
until
in the
that
first
house-
2 years.
Of cards starts.
Right. Until the SBA shows up your house,
And then there's
at
gonna-
your house
then
and
there's
takes
gonna
all
be
your
a-
stuff.
Then there's going to be a really good deal on a van that sells
Those pies out of the
pies
back
out
of
of the back.
Right. Those better be some damn good pies.
Oh,
Yeah.
tasty.
That is brutal.
So no, it's been a very busy last year and a half almost. So
Yep.
good for small business. So that's
Yes.
a plus. Mm-hmm.
That is good. Yeah, I would much rather see the mom and pops stay open, because it just seemed like the only businesses that were thriving for the most part during the pandemic were the big box stores anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that was kind of unfortunate. Just seeing those small businesses that couldn't be open or couldn't afford to be open. So that's what was really awesome about the Paycheck Protection Program and just some of the changes they've made to all the programs in general. Just good changes all around.
Now, obviously, you're not going to have like firm numbers on this, but just in what you saw through all of that, what would you say was the highest percentage business looking for PPP relief? Like if you had to
Oh.
break it out into segments, like maybe the food and entertainment, or if it was, I don't know what those markets might break out into, but was there any that stuck out like a sore thumb? Maybe that's a better way of asking it.
You know, the ones that really stuck out for me were just businesses that can't typically get financing through the SBA.
Right.
The Paycheck Protection Program opened up to places like churches and religious institutions that can't usually get SBA loans. Those people were also allowed to get Paycheck Protection Program funds. So, like, I don't know if you guys saw the article, but even Joel Osteen got like several $1 million worth of
Hallelujah.
paycheck protection
Right.
program.
If anybody deserves it, it's that guy.
Yeah, I think he got some crap for it, but
Dude, that mega church isn't going to keep its own lights on.
That's true.
Yeah. The lightning
Yeah.
arresters are supposed to keep the bolts of lightning away from it. It's not supposed to power the place.
yeah, no, but I mean, it was a good thing, you know. Church is important to a lot of people, and it was nice that they had access to those funds as well. But yeah, just, you know, having done this for 8 years and knowing that religious institutions are not, you know, what is the word I'm looking for?
They don't typically fall under that.
Financing for them is a little more difficult for sure.
Right. Yeah. Eligible. I think. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. They're not typically eligible for SBA loans. So, so it was interesting just seeing, like I think I mentioned before, Chick-fil-A was another one. That's a franchise that, and I need to look up why. I don't know if it's because there's kind of a religious component to them or not, but they were allowed to get SBA loans, or I'm sorry, Paycheck Protection Program loans too. So yeah, those are what stuck out for me. Just because
I'm glad that Chick-fil-A got it too, because I'm a big fan. I would go gay for Chick-fil-A.
Oh,
that
it is hard to
spicy
compete
chicken
with
sandwich.
Chick-fil-A.
Oh,
Dude,
so
all their
good.
chicken is delicious. It's
All of it.
overpriced, but my God, those chicken nuggets are just the sweetest,
Dude,
most succulent pieces of chicken.
They could double the price. I'd still find a way to have it every now and again.
Yeah.
Even if they doubled the price, I would still
Treat
go
myself.
there once every 3 months.
Yeah, I'm gonna treat myself.
I still haven't tried the Popeyes chicken sandwich though, to know if it's any better than the Chick-fil-A sandwich.
Yeah, we haven't tried
So
that
good.
one still.
Oh,
Now,
it's good.
in our defense, we ordered it one time, and when we brought the bag home, it wasn't in it.
That's
Oh,
true. Bummer.
I would have went back and thrown a fit.
But I think they gave us a family side of red beans and rice, so that was really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't a chicken sandwich, but still pretty good.
Yeah, so let me describe it for you, because I've had this in an act once, or a little bit about it, but it's 50 grams of saturated fat.
Okay.
It's 100% daily value of sodium,
Right.
and it's also 100% tasty AF.
There you go.
It's tasty. It's pretty good. Like, and it for like 3 days, my ankles had swollen up like this, and it was so. I was like, oh, now I remember, like, one of my favorite comics, Patrice O'Neill. I'm like, I kind of get it. Like if I was on the verge of having one of my feet cut off, and they were like, but Popeye just came out with this new chicken sandwich, I'd probably risk it. That's how good that sandwich is.
That's a pretty damn good sandwich if you're willing to whisk a foot. Whisk a foot. If you're willing,
There you go.
if you're willing to whisk a foot, babe.
And who's not? Well, the whisker,
Hey.
but
One of my wife's favorite things in the world is to mock me for screwing up words.
Dude, lately that's been me though. But what did I call John's high chair tonight? I think I called it the pitcock.
The pitcock. Put him in the pitcock.
And I meant it too. I had no idea I was saying
Oh, it was
wrong.
with conviction. You need to get that boy in that
Yeah.
pitcock. What are you talking about?
did you tell her to raise your arm? I think you're having a stroke.
Right. Oh, cockpit. I get it.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, I was
that one
lost.
was rough. That was rough.
Okay, so Oh man, what else did I want to ask you about with the SBA? Hang on, I got questions here.
Well, what year? Oh,
Ooh, excuse
1953,
me.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1953.
I got that.
Okay, so the conventional 7A loan. What's the deal with the 7A loan? For anybody who's out there who's interested, who is in a position where they can meet the minimum criteria, what's that 7A process look like?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing you got to do is just find a bank that does SBA financing.
Okay.
And I believe there is a tool on the SBA website
Okay.
that can help you get matched with lenders that do SBA financing.
Which is just sba.org, I guess, or
SBA.gov.
rather.
Yeah. Yep. I think it's called Lender Match or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, they can help people get in touch with lenders that do SBA financing. I mean, Google will definitely get you there too.
Okay.
I'm sure there's
Can
plenty.
you spell that?
What, SBA.gov?
Just
Google.
SBA.
Oh. I can't tell if you're being serious.
ESBEEAYE.
Google. Now, when you get to
SBA.
that lender match, can you just keep swiping left until you find the one that tickles your fancy? And
I don't think so. It would be fun if it was like Tinder.
Right.
But
Oh, I don't like that one. Oh, that's the one right there. He looks like a pretty nice
Ooh.
banker. Yeah.
oh wait, do you have something pulled up? I need to figure out Zoom. Are you sharing a screen?
No,
Oh.
he's
Never
just
mind.
messing around, but
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was just finger in the air over here.
Gotcha. Okay.
well,
Anyway, so yeah, they've got a lender match tool on the SBA website. Google will get you there.
okay.
And then yeah, from there it's just, talking to the lender, the bank, about filling out an application. A lot of times it'll start with just the lender's internal application, because kind of like you mentioned before, Jake, they do part of the lender's responsibility is to make sure that the borrower can confirm that credit is not available elsewhere. So, that they went to a different bank to try to get conventional financing and they were turned down.
Okay.
Things like that.
So you have to do 3 or 4 hard pulls before they'll finally accept you in.
Well, they definitely want to know that, the borrower did try to
Right.
get financing elsewhere. Because, if they can, that's great. They should utilize just, normal resources to try and get financing for their business. But, let's say they did, and that that bank told them, your collateral is insufficient for us to get you this financing, or, your cash flow is not strong enough, or, whatever doesn't work with maybe their
What if they
internal
said,
matrix.
we'll do it, but at 20% interest, and you're like, oh, I can't afford that.
Oh,
I mean, would that be a
yeah.
reason then to go to the SBA and be like, yeah, they said they would give me a loan, but it was something that my business couldn't afford.
yeah, I think so. I would have to fact check myself, but I'm pretty sure unreasonable terms is a reason, to be eligible for SBA financing as well, because they went to the other bank and credit was not available elsewhere because the terms would be too unreasonable for the business to actually make loan payments. So, but I would have to double check.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
anyway, but yeah, and then, once the lenders looked at their application and just done some like general loose and easy underwriting, then from there they can kind of figure out next steps for getting an SBA application put together and either submitted to the SBA, or some lenders have the authority to just do all of that themselves and the SBA just gives them a number. But yeah, and it just kind of unfolds from there, depending on what everyone's got. So
Well, fair enough. So it's a pretty easy process, pretty straightforward. And do you see,
Yeah.
do you know what the kind of success fail rate is on those type of things? Like, do you have a feel for anything like that?
no,
Okay.
I personally do not. I know one thing though, that a lot of borrowers kind of have an adjustment period for is just the amount of documentation they have to supply.
Right.
The SBA, of course, they want to protect their their interest in these loans as well. So they've got a lot of regulations and rules in place and documentation that you have to provide to make sure that, everything's kosher and everything's been fully vetted. So that is one thing that some borrowers are like, man, I really tried to to get this loan through Chase Bank, or maybe they've gotten one through Chase Bank before, and all they had to do was like fill out an application and maybe hand over an appraisal and a credit report or something.
Right.
But you get to the SBA and they're like, oh no, we're going to need your articles of incorporation, your bylaws, your tax ID number paperwork, any purchase agreements, flood searches. It's just all over the place. So anyway.
Well,
Couldn't find the success rate of SBA other than small businesses
okay.
succeed 80% of the time the first year.
Wait, what happens now?
Oh, small businesses survive their first year 80% of the time.
So 20%
That was the only-
of businesses fail in their first year.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not bad.
That's
It's
not
not
too
bad.
Better. Yeah, that's
Not
better
bad.
than I was thinking. Yeah.
All right. Well, that sounds like a nice little segue because Terry's got something special for us today.
Oh my God.
Uh-oh.
I do.
I smell bad jokes.
I smell
I
that.
do. Oh, yeah.
If there's one thing Terry's good for, it's dad jokes. Terribly cheesy dad jokes. And who's that written by?
I don't know. Some Brit.
Some Brit. So what's the premise behind this, Terry?
Well, the premise is I just happened to be at Half Price Books one day, and this was not the book I was looking for, but it was the book that I went home with
Okay.
because I thought it might help me in my comedy career.
All right.
As you mentioned before, I am a professional comedian. I think I've earned at least $100 in the last year and a half.
And it's only cost you about $1,100 to make it.
Maybe, yeah. And some bar tabs that are still left unpaid.
Right.
Now, this is I don't know why I pulled it. This is the one that we did before that was a lot of fun.
So what we're going to do here, or what you're doing here, I think the hope is you're going to punch these things up for us, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read this cheesy dad joke the way it's written in the book.
All right.
And then I'll come up with my own alternative punchline or tagline to it.
And we're free to jump in as well, I would assume.
Please.
Ashley's
yeah,
actually
please.
really good at this kind of stuff, so she might
Yeah.
she might like crush a few of these.
So I know one time, the last that we talked to Ashley, I told you this joke. It was, what does an unimpressed sheep say?
Yep.
The book says, meh.
Meh.
For some reason, my mind always goes to the low-hanging fruit. And I said, he turns around and says to the farmer, I thought you'd be bigger.
Oh man.
Oh, Terry.
So that was fun. But let's try something totally fresh. Let me work
Okay.
out my improv skills from that one class that I took 5 years ago.
All right.
Did you hear about the man whose wife told him to stop imitating a flamingo?
No.
Oh, I think I've heard this one.
He had to put his foot down.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, I love it.
I'm not sure how to improve upon that one. That's a pretty
That's
solid
a pretty
joke.
good joke.
Yeah. Any suggestion? Ashley, do you have an alternative to that? Did you hear about the man whose wife told him to stop imitating a flamingo?
I don't have anything. I can't improve that one.
It's a pretty good joke.
It is pretty good.
Yeah.
As a standalone joke, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I thought you'd be bigger. Does that work there?
Why can't you be more like your brother? He never has a problem getting it up.
Jesus.
Oh no. Oh
There
no.
went our PG
Or-
rating. just lost all our
PG.
sponsors. We just got canceled on our first episode, Terry.
On our
Thanks.
first episode.
Real mature.
Our viewership just went down to 0.
It plummeted
Jake.
to 0 from 1.
That reminds me, Jake, I heard some unfortunate news about one of your favorite childhood cartoon characters.
Uh-oh.
They're taking Pepe Le Pew from the Space Jam 2 movie because of his racy past chasing a cat that was uninterested.
No means no, Jake.
That was mine and my grandmother's favorite cartoon when I was growing up. I would call her on Saturdays when the cartoons were on, and I would make her watch Pepe Le Pew with me when I was just a little bitty
little
boy.
Jake.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah, I loved Pepe Le Pew. I liked all of those. Yeah, was that Warner Brothers? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a different world. You can't.
Right, and yeah, I don't know. So they just decided not to cast him for the new episode. I mean, the guy's probably going to get other work somewhere else.
Pepe?
Pepe, yeah.
That could be. But what about that poor cat that he was chasing around?
Right. And nobody ever talks about her.
No, nobody ever says a word about her. Do you know how many times that poor thing's had white paint poured down her back?
Oh.
It's unreasonable. She's always running into some kind of weird predicament that causes her to be date raped.
But if I remember it correctly, and maybe I'm just making this up because it's been quite some time, but didn't the cat kind of find interest in him in the beginning? Like she was like, oh, he's paying me, she was kind of into him.
She smelled him and realized that he was
smelled him and she's like, oh my God, ugh, get away from me.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, wait, what'd I do?
But that's when no means no pops in. That's the point where he's supposed to say, oh, that's right, I smell like crap. Maybe that's why she doesn't want anything to do with me. Maybe I'll stop spraying my butt everywhere.
Right. So what if they just fixed it? What if can't they take out his little stinker?
I don't know.
They can't take out the fact that he chases this poor woman down and is constantly just groping on her. They can't take that out.
Just wearing her down until she finally gives in. Like that song that they canceled, the Christmas song. It's cold outside.
Baby, it's cold outside.
Baby, don't worry about it.
Key and Peele do such a good version of that. Super rapey.
Yeah,
oh man, it's so gross. And it's not. It's cute and it's nostalgic and it's all that kind of stuff.
It is.
Unless you've been, accosted or had that happen in your life.
Unless you've had it happen to you, then yeah.
And that freaking sucks.
It's all fun and games until it's not.
It's all fun and games until it's not. I'm not saying that we should be kind to everybody's feelings, but maybe just a touch of consideration. I don't know. Doesn't seem too bad. All right. Well, that was the flamingo joke. I think we punched that one up. What's the next one?
Let me try one more. That was...
Put my foot down on sexual freaking deviance like Pepe Le Pew.
Okay, here we go. What is even more rewarding than feeding a dolphin?
What's that?
Serving your porpoise.
Wait, what?
Exactly.
What's even more? Say all
rewarding.
That. Rewarding.
What's even more rewarding?
Right.
Than feeding a dolphin? Serving your porpoise.
It's a double entendre.
It is. What's even more rewarding than feeding a dolphin?
Serving your porpoise.
I don't know, right? Terry.
Well, that reminds me of a book called Wet Goddess.
Okay.
In which a man had a sexual affair with a dolphin.
Okay.
And he wrote a book about it.
Oh.
And it's I would like to link to it in our show description tonight.
Okay, yeah. Get the link out and we'll put it in there.
The Wet Goddess.
The Wet Goddess. All right.
Man,
well, fair enough.
And I want to keep our PG rating because just some of the descriptions.
Well, all right. I guess
He made
dad
sweet love to
jokes.
that doll. Well, those didn't go quite as planned. You can't always bat 1,000.
Oh, so the last thing that we really had to talk about here, we were going to segue a little bit over, Terry, back into your side of the world, I believe. We were going to talk about maybe some of the interest rates and what we're seeing and all of that, because we want to keep the funny going.
It's hilarious.
After the flamingos and the rape and bestiality, I think that we should really cap it off with a little bit of home refinancing and equity cash outs and all of that.
Mortgage banking, yeah.
Mortgage banking, talk to us.
It's a great time. It's a great time to go into further debt.
Yeah.
Actually, restructure debt.
Okay.
As I would say, but yeah, over the last year since the pandemic, it's definitely, we've seen rates dropped quite a bit. People took advantage of that, refinanced. There's still a huge demand to buy houses since rates have been low for some time. Inventory's low, so that means that property values are going up. So if you own a home, you are probably likely sitting on a good chunk of equity.
Okay.
So,
but if you want to buy a home, it's going to really be at peak pricing right now. So you're going to be upside down almost instantly.
You might be, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you don't know. Like you really can't say that, because it's quite possible that after the summer, when things start getting back to normal, that the economy could just take off like a firecracker, and people will continue to buy homes, and there could be that big demand.
Sure.
So who knows?
Okay.
There's no real crystal ball.
So really, without a crystal ball, you would say that your advice would be to wait until the market tanks here soon and then buy it lower. Isn't that what you just literally said with your crystal ball?
No.
Oh shit! Shoot.
Well, no, I would do that. I guess if it were up to me, I think I would wait. I would wait to buy, unless you really. But you never know. I mean, there's different schools of thought on that, because if you wait to buy and the market does come down, but the economy is doing really well, rates aren't going to stay this low forever, and they've kind of crept up over the last month. They may continue to go up. So the costs, you may wind up paying more or less for a house,
but more on your monthly payment.
More on your monthly. If you're borrowing money, you're paying more interest. So it may all be a wash.
Okay.
I've always said buy. If you can buy. Only because if you live in a house for 10 years and you're paying a mortgage, you're way better off than if you rent for 10 years.
So kind of like you said, a lot of people are sitting on a lot of equity right now because the price or the value of houses is, pretty high for everyone. Do you see any problem with people taking advantage of this extra equity they may have in their house, and then let's say the market comes back down and houses aren't valued as high anymore? Do you see a lot of people ultimately being upside down on their mortgages?
I don't think so, unless there's some huge catastrophic thing that happens to the market, because you can only pull out cash up to 80% of the value. So that would mean that you'd have to lose 20% of your equity if you maxed out what you could pull in equity out of your home, and the market crashed. It would have to be a bigger crash than we had a dozen years ago, or however long ago it was.
Gotcha. Okay.
So and then only then would it matter if you had to sell. So if you're still in the home and you pull that equity out, let's say you restructured all kinds of debt, and then a year from now you've lost that 20% equity in your home. Well, if you continue to live there for the next 15 years, then what does it matter?
Right.
So. Yeah, that's a good point. I just know I've been thinking a lot lately about I bought this house in 2011 for $86,000.
Yeah.
And here we are 10 years later, and Zillow's telling me it's worth 178. So it's like,
Yep.
well, hell, that's
Terry,
a lot of
I know.
you've walked around our house. This is not a $178,000 house.
It could be.
I know what is going on with the market. So yeah, I definitely very well could be. Yeah. Because I'm in the same, I thought the same thing. I'm like, well, I really, now that we're kind of we're pretty much empty nesters, and, I've been in this house all this time. Part of me is like, well, why not sell? I think we're kind of close to that peak. Why don't my wife and I just live downtown in a nice apartment for the next year or two until, the market corrects itself, and then go find something else. But
Yeah.
always been a back of my mind thing. Or why don't I sell it, move into a van, and travel the country?
Dude, Steve-O does it.
Yeah,
and
do a
he's happy as
podcast.
Lark.
Yeah.
Ashley, you actually have it's your aunt, her sister, and her husband and their kid, who's maybe 5 or 6 or something like that. 4.
I think she's like 7 or 8, but
7,
yeah.
8. Well, whatever. They just are picked up for 7 months. They bought a big camper, and they're just touring the country and seeing awesome stuff and hanging out and being together. I mean, so while all this pandemic was going on, they've just been traveling the land.
Exactly.
Spreading disease everywhere.
Exactly. But you can stay in a federal park for up to 2 weeks at a time for free. And then you could go from one park, stay 2 weeks, go to another park, stay 2 weeks, go back to the same park if you want to.
And that's fine.
Bouncing back and forth.
As long as they don't smell the cooking meth, you're normally okay.
Right. And they rarely do. I mean, just from experience, I know those rangers hardly ever come around.
Right. All right.
I am the one who knocks.
Sorry?
Oh, I said I am the one who knocks.
Okay.
That's a Breaking Bad reference.
It is a Breaking Bad. Well, Ashley, I love you. Thank you so much for being engaging and awesome and sweet and pretty and the best.
Rock. You made SBA loans interesting.
Yes.
Like I would have just been like, what? Huh?
Well, I try to keep the light in my eyes talking about the SBA. So
please, and remember, I need you to do some research. You were gonna check and see if we could if you guys could finance my movie.
Oh, right.
Right.
And if I went somewhere else and I just didn't really like the terms, because I've taken this to this mob guy, and he was like 25% plus. He wanted so much on the back end. So I'm wondering if I could just say, hey, look, I've already tried. Tony Soprano wanted me to come in on like half of points and everything. What? Yeah. Can you guys just give me a solid?
Yeah, I'll double check that and make sure that I'm right and let you know.
Thanks. Yeah, we'll have you back to answer those questions.
Yes, exactly.
All those questions and more.
Yeah.
Works for me.
All right. Bye, babe. I'll see you down on the POS here soon.
Bye. See you guys later. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Dude, your wife is all right.
She's cool, right?
Yeah, she's a cool lady.
She's the best. None of this would be possible without her. And not just because of the fact that she's working and I'm watching the kids, but because she is like my everything. That is my baby.
I'm excited. I think I'm going to apply for an SBA loan now so we can make some movies.
It'd be cool if it was that easy.
Yeah.
It's weird. One of the things that she mentions is the fact that they mentioned the fact that you need to be looking and you need to be in business for 2 years. You need to try other financing and other means and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. But she said that that's changed recently.
And then it's changed and all those terms are right. Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what she comes back with and to see if maybe everybody, all 4,000 of our viewers who are watching this live, decided to come back and see us start spending some of those ducats that we're pulling off the U.S. government. We'll tie somebody else's house into it. We'll bounce.
Bounce. Yeah, that show was deep.
Dude, I think we did it.
I think we did.
Thank
I think
you,
we
sir.
should do. Thank you. We should do it again next Tuesday.
Well, absolutely.
Wednesday,
Well,
or-
actually, next week it'll be Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah.
I had a family thing on Tuesday, so it'll be Wednesday.
Let's
Then
do it.
after that, Tuesday like clockwork. And depending on how it goes, maybe we'll ramp it up a little bit more if we just want to get together and shoot the bull about stuff just through the course of the week. Now that we know that we have this kind of as an avenue.
Yeah, I really want to talk about the royal family. It means a lot.
Dude, I want to do some topical stuff. I want to talk about the royal family and the stuff going on with them and the Oprah interview and all of that. I want to talk about what else can we talk about?
Oprah's my boo.
I want to talk about politics. I want to talk about reparations. I want to talk about, dude, if it's nasty and controversial or uncomfortable, I think that we should bring it up as well.
I'm with you.
We got to fist it all. Sir, it's been a pleasure.
All right.
Thank you so much. Yeah, there you go.
There it is.
Everybody, we are
Fist me.
out of here.
Deuces, brother.
All right.
Yeah, that was a fun show.
Yeah, it's good.
My cheesy dad jokes, sometimes I can think of something pretty clever, and then other times I'm like, man, how can you improve upon this beautiful joke?
It is a flamingo.
It is a flamingo.
But at least we got to go off on a little rant on something completely unrelated. Yeah, that was all right. I'm looking forward to doing some more of these and getting more comfortable with it. We're still recording, by the way, so we're still
Word.
The credits are rolling.
Oh, yeah.
But since
Whose name
nobody's
is-
watching, we can say what we want.
Well, yeah.
Temper
I
Pediatric
enjoyed it.
Services.
I enjoyed it.
We are going to have to stick with it, my man.
Man, that was deep.